welcome to my channel. Today we're going to make a magnet. We're going to design the file and we will also cut it and assemble it, so you'll get to see from start to finish. This is my first time making a magnet and designing one, so we'll kind of go through this together. Hopefully the tutorial will be clear, and if we experience any hiccups, then I'll just kind of work through it here. That way you can see it as well. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is open your Lightburn. Your Lightburn might look a little bit different from mine. My version is up here, 1.6.00. That's the one I have. Yours might be a newer version or an older version. But I feel like things shouldn't look too different, but just try your best to follow along. Also to note, my laser is not connected to this laptop that I'm currently using. This is my MacBook Pro that I try my best to keep inside the house and away from the laser and elements in general, because it was very expensive and I don't want to get it dirty or damaged. But because it is a large screen, I do enjoy designing on here. But that's why this part here on the right side says disconnected. So this will look different from yours as well. So the magnet that I was envisioning of making is kind of just a simple rectangular one. So we're going to start by clicking this square on the left. Okay, so I don't want it to be a perfect square, but if I did want it to be a perfect square, I would hold Shift and then I would just drag, click and drag my mouse like so. But I'm not feeling the square design. I actually want a rectangular one. So I'm going to just quickly draw a square. At the top here, width and height, I'm going to unclick this lock icon because I don't want it to be locked. I want to adjust the width and height separately from each other to start off with. I was thinking maybe about 3 inches by 2.5. Let's see, 3 inches by 2.5 would be something like, let's see if I have something here that's like a piece of wood. Okay, here, I've got this. Okay, so this is from a different project, but basically this is 2.5 wide. So I just want it to be a little bit longer, maybe 3 by 2. Let's try 3 by 2. Sometimes when you have a design and you've never made one before, you almost have to just try your best to envision it. And then when you cut it, you can see, okay, it looks great. Or, oh no, this is not the size that I was imagining. Okay, so we're gonna change that to 3 by 2. And then I clicked the lock again to close it, to lock the dimensions in. As you can see, my shape is currently all black, and that means it's on fill. If you look on the far right under cuts and layers, black is fill. I want to change that to line because I'm going to cut it, and I like to use red for line, so I'm changing the color down here on the bottom left, 02. So 02 red, changing that to line as the mode. When I see that, it just tells me, okay, this part is going to get cut out. Visually, it just makes sense to me. You can really choose any color that you want. But yeah, the dotted line will indicate a line, a cut. So let's just zoom in here so we can see what we're working with. Okay, so the first thing I want to adjust with our rectangle is I don't really like these corners. So I'm going to click the select tool so we get out of creating rectangles. But these corners here are kind of sharp to me. I want a more softer look. So I'm going to go to shape properties here on the right. Okay, let me show that again. First we're on cuts and layers, then I'm going to click shape properties. And corner radius, that's what we're going to adjust. So let's see what the default, wow, okay, that was too much. Too much. So now we know that 1.0 is just too much of a radius for this rectangle. It's a cute oval shape, but again, not what I'm going for. So I'm gonna try to change that to 0.25 and let's see. Okay, perfect. That's what I was thinking. Almost like a name badge. Okay, so I'm gonna click back to cuts and layers. On our magnet, I want it to say something like, look what so-and-so made. Okay, I'm a preschool teacher and I send home my kiddos' artwork all the time. I just tend to send it home. I have no idea what the parents do with it, but you know, for the ones that they want to keep and display at least temporarily, I think it'd be really cute to have it up on their fridge with a magnet. So that's where this idea stemmed from. So I want it to say something like, look what, and then I'm gonna create a whole nother line. I'll just put my name for now. Look what Stacy made. Okay, so the reason why I typed these words separately is because of the placement on this magnet that I was envisioning. So I was gonna put look what, and then Stacy made, kind of like that, but not with this font. So let's go ahead and fix that because I don't like this font at all. Arial is very basic. Okay, so I have pre-installed fonts that I've gotten for commercial use through Creative Fabrica and other websites. I purchased them off Etsy. So when you see my drop down, this will not look like yours unless you've also purchased, you know, these fonts. But yeah, I recommend searching for free ones. And if you're willing to spend a couple dollars on some paid fonts too, it's worth it. That way you can kind of find the style that you like. And as you can see, the words look what, it changes as I scroll over certain fonts. Okay, so what's going to help me see this a little bit better is if we change our words to fill. So this one's I'm gonna go down here to the bottom left and I'm gonna click 00. It changes it to black. But if you look at the cuts and layers window here on the right, the black 00 says line. I'm gonna change that to fill. Okay, so now I can see the words much better. So I'm gonna do the same thing for Stacy and made, because we're gonna engrave these letters. We're not gonna cut them. You can adjust this in two different ways. The top, you have the dimensions again, and I have it in inches. If you don't wanna use inches and you wanna use millimeters, you can click right here, kind of in the top middle. It switches it to millimeters. But I live in America and I grew up with inches, so inches is what we're using. I can adjust the size of the font using these dimensions, or if I go to the font section at the top height, I can also adjust it there. It really doesn't matter, just preference. I want this to be smaller because I want his or her name to be the main, you know, piece of the magnet. Okay, I don't know if I still like that. I might want to use a different font. Brightland could be a good one. To compare them side by side, I'm gonna Command and duplicate it by pressing Command D. Let's try a different font that I tend to go for a lot. Okay, so these are the two fonts. They're both really cute and bouncy. That's the vibe I'm going for. And before I forget, what I like to do here at the top for the rainbow and September, I just type the fonts that I'm using in this file. That way I can access them in the future and I know which ones I've decided on. So next I'm going to want to make sure I center everything on the magnet. So I'm going to click on the right side of my screen and I'm going to drag to highlight it all. Okay, like that. When you do that, going from right to left in Lightburn, you don't have to make the effort of highlighting everything. So you see how my cursor is just trying to encompass everything? You don't have to do that, not when you're going from right to left. When you go from right to left, you can just get part of whatever you want selected and then just let go. See, so the look what Kavika, all of that was selected even though it didn't fit inside my selection box. Okay, so now all that's selected, I want it centered. So at the top here, there's these little 2 rectangles with a line. It's called Alignment Tools Helper. Click that, and I want to align center. So if you see it as I hover over these other options, it kind of previews and shows me what would happen to the pieces or the words. So that's not what I want. I want this one. I'm going to click that. See if you were to align center, wow, that's terrible. Okay, so align centers. This is vertically. Click OK, and it looks good. So I'm going to select it all. I'm actually going to group it. I'm going to group this, and by grouping, you click those 3 people at the top. I'm going to move this version 1 to the side, and I'm going to duplicate this because I feel like I like it, but I don't love it. So I want to figure out what else I can do. Okay, I see one mistake already. I have to ungroup this now, and by ungrouping, you click the single person. Okay, and made is not capital. One idea is to make the name a cut layer. So what I'm thinking is this red rectangle will be made out of wood. It'll be engraved with look what made, but the name Kavika will be cut with acrylic, colored maybe pastel acrylic. And let's just change this to a name I can gift. I like that, but I'm still not sold. So I'm going to make another copy. And I'm actually going to pull up Canva. I'm going to just create a blank doc. And I'm going to look for elements on the left. This is not a Canva tutorial, but if you need one, I can do my best to share what I know about Canva. I'm no Canva expert, but I do use it for work as a teacher and for lasering. So elements, I've clearly searched for carrots before. I'm going to look up, maybe crayons. That would be really cute. Graphics, I'm going to see all. Okay, then I'm going to download as a PNG. Okay, then in Lightburn, I'm going to go File, Import, but this is in the format of a PNG, and we can't use PNGs to cut. We need to convert it to an SVG. So if we go back, I'm going to maximize this. If we go back in Lightburn and we go to Tools, we're going to trace image. So make sure your image is selected, trace image, and this window pops up. I'm going to click Fade Image just so I can see the outline a little bit better. I'm going to kind of play with the threshold here. Okay, so I do like these 3 crayons and how it looks here, so I'm just going to delete the image after trace because I don't want it already. I just want these crayons. I'm going to hit OK. Okay, so we have this. And right now it's all grouped together, so I'm going to ungroup it. I'm going to delete this part of that crayon that I don't want. Then I'm going to regroup these. Okay, at the top. That was a lot. Okay, so what I basically concluded on is this fourth option here on the bottom right. I think it's simple, and maybe that's what's best, because really when you use this as a magnet, you don't want the magnet to stand out. You want the child's artwork to be, what's showcased. So simple is sometimes best. Okay, now to make sure my settings are correct and can be applied, I did import my library that I use on the laptop that I actually connect to my machine. For this red part, I'm going to use cut without air assist. So 1643, there you saw that change. Then for my black, I'm going to choose no thickness, that's the engrave here. And I'm going to assign that so it changed here to 340 power. This part, I'm going to select Isaac. I'm going to choose another color. Okay, so the red is going to be our cut piece of wood. The black is going to be our engrave. So that's a fill. Again, these are my settings. I have a Eon Mira 7 60-watt machine. You're going to have to figure out your own settings, I'm sorry. And this light blue here will be our cut acrylic that we're going to cut and stick onto our piece of wood. So this is it for the design. If you have any questions about anything I did here in Lightburn or in Canva, please leave me a comment down below and I will answer them to the best of my ability. One thing I do want to mention before you start cutting that we didn't think, or that I didn't think of when we were preparing the design, is to make sure your cuts and layers is in the right order. So you do want to make sure your fill or your engraves are done before you cut. So I'm just gonna highlight this fill line. I'm gonna move it up, and then this line, the cut line, is second, because you want to engrave the thing before you want to cut the thing. Thanks so much for watching and joining me on this little design with me video. I wasn't sure if you folks would like this kind of informal design with me style, or if you really want a clear cut first, second, then last type of tutorial of something that I've made previously. Yeah, so let me know in the comments below if you like this kind of chatty make with me style of video, or if you want something a lot more structured and clear cut. I can do that as well. But yeah, so let me know in the comments below if you want more laser type tutorials, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!